Hello and welcome to Dark Sayings. I'm your host, Pete. The news is broken early this morning at 7:35 a.m. Vatican time, Easter Monday, 2025. Pope Francis, the 266th pontiff of the Roman Catholic Church, passed away. Since the beginning of his pontificate in 2013, Pope Francis has been no stranger to scandal and controversy. During his pontificate, Pope Francis had been accused of not appropriately handling the clergy abuse scandal, failing to hold responsible those bishops who had engaged in cover-ups of those guilty of these crimes. A 2018 letter by then Archbishop Vigano alleged that Pope Francis knowingly engaged in the cover-up of the abuses of U.S. Cardinal McCarrick. In 2023, Francis was forced to reopen the case of Marco Rupnik, a Jesuit priest who had been accused of abusing nuns both sexually and psychologically. Francis would likewise be criticized for his handling of the Chilean abuse scandal, for which he apologized publicly in 2018, calling it a grave mistake. In addition to financial issues, there were also doctrinal and theological controversies. One included the blessing of same-sex couples, allowed by a document published in 2023 on a case-by-case basis. Francis would also face criticism for what appeared to be a softening of what was considered sacramental discipline in regard to communion and divorced couples. Francis has been accused of being a proponent of liberation theology and a supporter of Marxism. He has openly met with Marxist groups and praised the founder of liberation theology. Francis was also one to make controversial statements on interfaith issues, implying that all religions are a path to God and that all faiths are equal. Francis has been accused of controversial alliances, of questionable appointments, of outright heresy, and of endorsing pagan idol worship with the 2019 Amazonian Synod and the display of an indigenous fertility goddess. Now, with the death of Pope Francis, we come to some pretty interesting times, specifically in regard to something called the prophecy of the popes, something that was written down by St. Malachi in the 12th century. It's 112 short Latin phrases, intentionally vague, that purportedly predict every pope from Celestine II all the way up to the present day. This list culminates with the name Petrus Romanus. It is Latin for Peter the Roman, purportedly the last and final pope, which should take succession of the throne after the coming conclave now that Pope Francis has passed away. This pope is destined to reign during a time of tribulation, which would ultimately lead to the destruction of Rome and the Vatican itself. Now, there are many who believe in this prophecy, although the church does not support or endorse it specifically. It is out there, and it has been since around the 15th century when they found the earliest documents purported to support this prophecy. Though some believe that this is a forgery, and there's no reason to put any stock into the prophecy of the popes at all. I guess with the coming conclave and the successor of the throne of Peter, we will see. Now, I personally find this all really interesting. I was raised Catholic. I've always had a thing for end times prophecies and predictions, whether it be Nostradamus or Edgar Cayce. These things have always fascinated me, and this no less than any of the others. What I find most unique about this is while prophecies like Nostradamus are intentionally vague, and this no less intentionally vague either, this kind of gives us a timeline. We can look to the various popes from the origin of this prediction up to the present day and say, hey, this gives us something to work with. So now is an interesting time, because a conclave will be called to choose a successor for Pope Francis, someone to take the reins of the church and lead it into the future. Whether or not this prophecy is accurate, whether or not we can expect it to unfold as predicted, is yet to be seen. But I think it's a very interesting for those who keep their finger on the pulse of world events and their eye towards the spiritual. Could this be a sign of the coming tribulation? Could this be another indicator that we live in the final days? Now, that is a matter of your personal perspective. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation regarding the prophecy of the popes and the death of Pope Francis. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you being here. This has been Dark Sayings. I'm your host, Pete. And until next time,